Hello, everybody. Welcome back to more Political Excess. Today, let's cover two more primaries that are coming up this Tuesday, June 28th. Let's take a look at Colorado and Oklahoma. There's a lot to cover. Let's quickly get right into this. Let's start in Colorado and in the U.S. House. Remember, Colorado is gaining an extra seat this cycle, going up to 8 seats. In the 1st and the 2nd district, these will both be deep blue in the general, as the Republicans are irrelevant there. In the 3rd district, incumbent Republican Lauren Boebert, she does have a Republican primary challenger in Don Coram, the state senator there. There are no polls as of yet here on Wikipedia, but if we take a look at the markets, Lauren Boebert has a massive lead, so she should go on to secure that nomination. The Democrats, they do have a three-way primary going, but there's not much context there in terms of polling or any markets, and I don't expect this race to be too competitive in the fall. It should be a very likely hold for the Republicans. The 4th district, that will be a very solid red district in November, so the Democrats are irrelevant there. Over in the 5th district, that is the Colorado Springs area, seasoned incumbent Republican Doug Lamborn, he is facing a primary challenge from Dave Williams. But with no further corroboration of polls or markets, I would think Doug Lamborn is highly favored, but that could be one to look into for some localized news in case there's a chance there could be an upset brewing. The 6th district, that is another deep blue district where the Republicans are not a factor. The 7th district, this is an open seat, as incumbent Democrat Ed Perlmutter is not running for re-election. The Democrats appear to have Brittany Peterson, state senator, as their unopposed nominee, and the Republicans, they have an actual primary going. There's no polls, but there are several candidates, and if we flip over to predicted, Eric Odland and Timothy Reichert, those two are running neck and neck, so that one is completely up in the air at this point. And that district, there is a chance the Republicans will be able to flip that in the general. And in the 8th district, this is the new district, so it's an open seat. The Democrats have Yadira Caraveo, and she is running unopposed for that nomination. On the Republican side, that is wide open. There are several candidates running, and with the lack of polling and markets, it is difficult to predict what would happen. It'll be one to watch on primary day. And in the general, there's another real opportunity for the Republicans to claim that new seat. Onto these statewide races for governor, incumbent Jared Polis. He's running for re-election to a 2nd term. He'll have that nomination all wrapped up. The Republicans have a primary, and there are two contenders there, Heidi Ganahl and Greg Lopez. There's no polling here, but on the market, Heidi Ganahl has a substantial lead for that nomination. In the fall, I would expect Jared Polis to comfortably win this race, but anything could happen. In the U.S. Senate, incumbent Democrat Michael Bennet, he's running for re-election to a 3rd term, and the Republicans, they have a primary there between Ron Hanks and Joe O'Dea. The market there shows Joe O'Dea with a very sizable lead. In the fall, Michael Bennet will certainly have an advantage there. Let's move over to Oklahoma in the U.S. House. All 5 of these districts will be solid for the Republicans, as the map was gerrymandered to make sure Democrats have no chance in any of these districts. The only one to mention is the 2nd district, that is the eastern part of the state. Incumbent Republican Mark Wayne Mullen, he is not running for re-election. He's running for the U.S. Senate, so that's an open seat. There's a ton of Republicans running there. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'll have to find out what happens on Tuesday. The other races have nothing of note, so let's move on to the statewide races. And for U.S. Senate, there are 2 elections this year for U.S. Senate. One of them's a special election to replace Jim Inhofe and finish out the remainder of his term. There were a lot of Republicans running for this seat, but it basically comes down to that retiring U.S. Rep Mark Wayne Mullen and former state rep T.W. Shannon. The polling here does have Mark Wayne Mullen with a comfortable lead, although there are a lot of undecideds. If we check out the markets, Mark Wayne Mullen has a commanding lead at around 90%. For the Democrats, their nominee is already set up. Kendra Horn, the former one-term U.S. Rep. They think that is their best bet to win that seat, and it probably is, although in the fall, I don't think they're really going to get close. But there is another U.S. Senate seat where incumbent Republican James Lankford, he's running for re-election to a second term, and there shouldn't really be much drama in this race. He does have primary challengers, but they're mostly token opposition. He's heavily favored to win that. And for the Democrats, there are a bunch of candidates there, but these are mostly no-name candidates, as in the fall, they might not even get within 30 points of winning this race. And finally, for governor, incumbent Republican Kevin Stitt, he's running for re-election to his second term. He has some mostly token minor opposition. And for the Democrats, they do have a primary, but it appears it'll likely be Joy Hoffmeister, the former Republican, recently turned Democrat, who actually is the superintendent of public instruction for Oklahoma. So in theory, she might be a worthy competitor in the general election. I just don't see it happening, given the environment and given that it's Oklahoma. I also would recommend checking out some of the other statewide races for Oklahoma. Some of those Republican primaries might be competitive, especially that race for state superintendent of public instruction, as Republicans want to recapture that to hold all of the offices statewide again. So take a look at those if you'd like. Just wanted to hit the highlights here. That's a look at Colorado and Oklahoma. Let me know if you're following any of these races down below. If you enjoyed this content, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.